So, how can a war thousands of miles away suddenly make your home's insulation a matter of, national security? It sounds a little crazy, right? But that is exactly what happened. Let's dive into the pretty wild story of how a European climate law basically became a geopolitical shield.
To really get how this all went down, we need to jump forward in time, right into the middle of a major crisis. So picture this. It's March 2026. Tensions in the Middle East have just completely boiled over, and the world's most critical energy choke point, the Strait of Hormuz, has been shut down. For Europe, the impact was immediate. And honestly, it was brutal. I mean, just look at this chart. In a matter of days, the price of natural gas pretty much doubled. It jumped from a stable 31 euros per megawatt hour to over 60. This is the financial shockwave you get when a market is in total and utter panic. And the scale of this thing was just unprecedented. As one of the top commodities strategists, Halima Croft, put it, this event completely dwarfed the energy shock we saw after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. A vital artery for global energy had basically just been clamped shut.
So, you have to ask, why was Europe so incredibly vulnerable? Well, the answer lies in this massive energy pivot the continent had just pulled off. A pivot that, kind of ironically, created a brand new dependency trap. Yeah, this slide here really shows the trade-off. See, Europe did an amazing job breaking its dependency on those Russian pipelines, which, remember, used to supply 45% of its gas. But it swapped that for a whole new vulnerability, a massive reliance on the global market for liquefied natural gas, or LNG. And making that switch? Wow. It came at a staggering cost. This number, 930 billion euros, that's the extra money Europe had to pay for gas imports between 2021 and 2024. It's basically the bill for swapping one risky dependency for another. And this really gets to the heart of the whole problem. As the analyst Maureen Gillert wrote, Europe changed its gas supplier, sure, but it didn't get rid of its exposure to these wild price shocks. It was still plugged into a really volatile global system, and the crisis in the Strait of Hormuz was all the proof it needed. But okay, this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. Because the real, permanent solution, it isn't found in global shipping lanes or new gas deals. It's found by asking a much more basic question. Where is all this imported gas actually going? When you think of a gas guzzler, you probably picture, I don't know, a giant factory or a massive power plant, right? But what if I told you the biggest consumer was something way, way closer to home? The answer, believe it or not, comes down to this one single powerful number. 52%. Yeah. Over half of all the natural gas in the EU is used to heat buildings, our homes, our offices. And here's the real kicker. About 75% of those buildings are incredibly energy inefficient. These leaky, poorly insulated buildings, they're not just an environmental issue. They are a massive continent-wide security vulnerability. So, if inefficient buildings are the core of the problem, could efficient buildings actually be the solution? This is the moment a little-known piece of EU policy, something originally designed just for climate action, suddenly steps onto the world stage as this powerful geopolitical shield. It's called the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive, or EPBD for short. And you can just think of it as the EU's master plan to systematically renovate and upgrade all of its buildings to be super efficient. So how does this thing actually build a defense? Well, it all rests on four main pillars. First, it targets the absolute worst performing buildings for mandatory renovations. Second, it says all new buildings have to be zero emission by 2030. Third, it sets a hard deadline to get rid of all fossil fuel boilers by 2040. And finally, it requires solar panels on new buildings. Each one of these steps is designed to just systematically slash gas demand right at the source. Okay, so this brings us to the final and I think the most crucial argument in all of this. The crisis revealed a fundamental choice between two very different strategies for energy security. You can either keep patching the supply, or you can permanently fix the demand. I mean, think about it for a second. Finding a new LNG supplier, releasing strategic oil reserves. These are just temporary patches, right? They might get you through this crisis, but they do absolutely nothing to stop the next one from happening. But renovating a building, that's a permanent cure. You are structurally removing that building's need for imported gas from the geopolitical game entirely, and not just for a year, but for decades to come. And the benefits of doing it this way are just immense. You don't just shift your risk from Russia to somewhere else, you eliminate it.
The money you save on gas imports, and we're talking about 350 million euros for every billion cubic meters of gas you don't use, that money stays inside the European economy. And the investment in all those renovations, it creates thousands of local construction jobs that, can't be outsourced. So this all leads to a final, pretty provocative thought. For decades, we've thought about security in terms of armies and alliances and energy deals. But after a crisis like the one in 2026, maybe it's time we start asking a new question. What if Europe's greatest untapped security asset is actually its buildings?